I want to welcome everybody to the show. I'm here, you're there, we're here together, and we're on the air. Oh my gosh, I'm so super excited.
Yeah.
Today, I'm joined by two awesome Black creatives, Black stands, and just dope ass people in general who anybody that can hear the sound of my voice knows that that's what we're here to do. So, this week we're celebrating 21 years of Jackie's Back, the iconic Lifetime television production starring Jenifer Lewis, as directed by Robert Townsend and written by Mark Scheinman. Mr. Josh Jinks and Mr. Michael Ward.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something though? An iconic Lifetime movie. Like, how often has that been said in life?
Not very.
Literally, if I think about it right now. Okay, so if we think about it, iconic Lifetime movies. There's Jackie's Back. Unfortunately, maybe the Aaliyah movie.
No, thank you.
And like, I don't know.
That never happened.
Things starring Tori Spelling. It didn't happen. I mean, well, okay. How about this?
Literally,
I'll say
I
Whitney
can't
and
think of
Bobby. I
anything
enjoyed, or was it Bobby and Whitney? I enjoyed the movie
The
that
one that Angela
Yaya was
Bassett
a part
did?
of. I did.
Okay, well,
No, the one that Yaya was a part of a few years ago. That's the only one I endorsed.
That was the Angela Bassett.
Oh, she produced it. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She was the EP. Agreed. Yes.
Because then there was the crazy one that BET did, right? It was. Why have there been so many Whitney movies? Okay.
And there's about
have
to
been
be another
several,
one.
because I think yes, there is, and I feel like they're about to take Whitney's hologram tour and probably make it a live experience. Unfortunately,
Why?
money.
Money. He said it. It's money.
Okay.
What else is the family doing?
Listen, and even if it wasn't the family, because they'll only get what, less than 10% of the overall. Like they'll only get pennies. Sissy only get pennies compared to whoever the powers that be are.
But Sissy don't want this anyway. Okay,
Sissy didn't want a lot of things.
I get so much energy around Whitney. Anyway,
that's good to know. Good to know. That's good to know. All right, so there are a few kind of angles in which I want to talk about Jackie's Back, but I want to really kind of take it from the top, and then we just go through the entire thing. The film itself debuted and premiered June 14th, 1999, so we're actually just beyond, or right on a month after its 21st birthday. So the film itself has already become legal drinking age. Entendre can make as many doubles as she wants. It's okay. But going back to the creation, because we hinted on it a little bit, but iconic Lifetime films we don't hear often, but at the same time, iconic Jenifer Lewis starring films, we haven't had that many chances. So this was really like her first big film role. She'd been in huge films, but this is her first starring role. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
That's really that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, like, if we're being for real, like Jenifer Lewis should have been popped. Like she has had literally every movie that I've seen Jenifer Lewis in, I remember her over most of anybody else that was in the film. And so like it's interesting to think about Jackie's Back because she's giving you like level 10, but when is she not ever giving you level 10? And so it's interesting to think that this really is one of the only films where she is center stage. She's not in a supporting role. She's not playing someone's mother. She's not the comedic relief or whatever. And so it's like wonderful we have Jackie's Back, but it's also kind of like upsetting that that's sort of really been the only turn she's had to like show the fuck up and show the fuck out like she does in this movie.
I agree.
A billion.
Yeah, I think especially knowing that she's been working for years on Broadway from what was that, the 80s? Being in so much,
actually late 70s. I read her memoir, and I think her first like starring Broadway role, it was like her first audition in New York City after moving up from I think she went to what, Bash University?
Yeah.
Come on, you better know this history. I had the audiobook, so I didn't read it. I can't take
Either
credit
way,
for reading it. I
content
listened to it
received.
on the audiobook on the way on the drive to Jacksonville, Florida.
That's cool. No, it was actually a Christmas gift. It was a Christmas gift from my brother Kendrick, whose birthday is actually the day after Jackie Washington Day.
Happy
So by the
birthday,
point
Kendrick.
of this conversation, happy birthday, Kendrick. Ow, thank you for the book. I mean, it totally helped. I love the book. But no, she talked about, well, there's a specific big chapter dedicated to Jackie's back, but there are anecdotes throughout the memoir that refer to the production and or her kind of consistent career. I don't know, it became one of her like mantras, or her ethos, I should say, to where she wasn't getting the roles that she wanted and nobody would book her for anything but, the one scene stealing Jenifer Lewis hi-ya moment. And that's how it really started.
Story by D. LaDuke and Mark Alton Brown, two best friends.
Robert Townsend had been a long collaborator and someone that she'd wanted to work with, and the powers kind of, they came to be and the stars aligned, but this really would not have happened if she did not want to create a space for herself as a creative just to be seen on screen. So I think there's something to be said for that within creation, because think about it. This was 21 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Name another Black actress that was out here trying to, really produce roles for themselves in this capacity, and they were able to successfully do it. I think that was an incredible feat.
And isn't that like the most Jenifer Lewis thing to do though? Because like I I think carving a lane when there is none is exactly what she does all the time. Like even I think if you were going to look at any film that she was in and you look at the script, how the script was written is not what you got when she showed up. You know what I mean? So like it's just kind of she goes on above and beyond to make it a Jenifer Lewis moment. And I think that like is the case with anything she's in, but certainly makes a lot of sense when it comes to like, I'm gonna write my own star vehicle because nobody else is doing it. Like, why the hell not?
I agree.
No, completely. No, that's why I was like, it's a lot of agreements, because it really does make sense. I mean, we are having this conversation in a 2020 world with our 2020 mindsets of, now there's an entire generation after, Jackie's Back has come out, that we're now self-starting. We're now creating the images that we want to see on screen in multitude. But I definitely think that this film, in addition to it not getting the credit it deserves for her, it doesn't get the credit it deserves for existing. Years ago, Jenifer was on RuPaul's podcast called What's the Tea with Michelle Visage. And on the podcast, she actually talked about, how a lot of the moments from Jackie's Back even came to be. The script itself was written around the make it a double entendre joke. Literally, she said the entire script was based around that. And she said after they had that joke, they just continued to build upon, kind of like different touch points. But it really wasn't until she saw Dame Shirley Bassey's documentary to where she really got the world of where Jackie Washington lived and who she was. Because, it's a bit based off Jenifer's own kind of life in Kinloch. That's where she's from in Missouri, small town outside of St. Louis. She's huge in Kinloch.
Go to Kinloch. Go to Kinloch. You know where I'm from. Oh, they love me back there. Talk to those people. I'm still huge in Kinloch.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where she pulled from her own experience. She pulled from Dame Shirley Bassey's experience, because allegedly there's a documentary where the kind of, I don't know, Jackie is a healthy pinch out of touch. And apparently in Dame Shirley Bassey's documentary, that's how she was. Apparently, Shirley would have a scene in her confessional where she talks about a memory, and then it'll cut to somebody else that was like, that shit didn't happen like that. And it was the spectacle of her remembering or recounting a story that didn't happen quite like that, that just set something, it just set Jenifer ablaze, and that's how we got the film. So one simple joke.
But what's interesting about that? What's interesting about that to me is that, like, what was that, 99 when this came out? So, like, you don't really you don't really see uh, women, let alone black women, occupying this sort of like format of film. Like, so yes, it was on Lifetime, but like also it's kind of a gamble for Lifetime to do what is essentially like a mockumentary, which is not. I don't know that that was what Lifetime was giving. That's like kind of a creative detour from Lifetime, which I think was all like
Hmm.
Stalker,
They've
like
never been
memes
known
and
for
like
humor in that way.
right. And so the idea that they would really go in and do and invest in this kind of film is an interesting choice, but you don't see black women oftentimes occupying space in the mockumentary film style. That's sort of been a white male dominated thing. I think about like This Is Spinal Tap and like Best in Show and like Waiting for Guffman, all of these sort of like iconic like quote unquote mockumentary style films are all creatively attributed back to white men. And so I can't name any other mockumentary film, at least at the top of my brain, that is that features and I mean is at the helm of a black woman. So like that's kind of big in and of itself too.
Completely, completely. You do you compound 1999 with mockumentary with Jennifer Lewis's premiere starring role, although she had long been a star. But this was, it was a huge gamble, and it's paid off for now 21 years. And so there definitely is something to be said for that. And I think even more than just an initial conversation, going back to the fact that like she's occupying spaces that she created for herself 20 plus years ago in lanes where people weren't necessarily looking. Like TV films are nothing compared to what they used to be. Movies of the week don't even really exist anymore. So,
Right.
No.
I have a confession though. So I didn't really come to Jackie's Back until honestly, like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Like I had never heard of Jackie's Back until I was in Puerto Rico with one of my friends, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, if you listen to this. Um, and we were in Puerto Rico, and it was a gaggle of gays, and so we were cocktailed, and they kept going back and forth about bring me the wet ones, and I was like, what are you guys talking about like bring me the wet ones? I've got taco juice on my clothes or whatever. And like the entire like day they kept going back and forth with stuff that I know now is from Jackie's Back, but I was like, at some point I was like, okay, I'm the only one not laughing about this, so like what the fuck is this about? And so I didn't
please
end
tell me
up
they
coming to
like
Jackie's Back until like 7 years ago. So even me, I'm recently new to discovering what Jackie's Back, and I kind of missed that I didn't get to see it in its full glory in the '90s on Lifetime with everyone else. But looking back on it and all of the amazing things that you both have mentioned, like at that time of seeing it, it really is just taking me back. But I love the fact that I have come across it now and I can celebrate Jackie Washington Day.
yes, every July
That's
15th.
real. I mean, but you know what's interesting? Like now that I think about it though, Lifetime really was about that life because like Lifetime had like star power. Because right now you like and I know we're probably gonna talk about the cameos and all that kind of good stuff. But like the cameo like the star quality that you like that is embedded within this particular movie, you wouldn't see on a Lifetime right now. Like no shade to Lifetime right now, but they've got their lane and they've carved that out over the years. But like it's just interesting because Lifetime at the time, I think, was giving you like grand diva, like celebs. I mean, Intimate Portrait was a very important part of my life,
What's
like
Intimate
childhood. I don't know if
Portrait?
y'all know what an Intimate Portrait
I
is,
don't
but
know
like,
that one.
oh my
What's
god,
Intimate Portrait? Is that
y'all!
like
Oh my
the
god.
behind
Okay,
the
so
series
Okay.
special that they used to do?
Right. Did it star Tori Spelling?
so no, so Intimate Portrait was, and I'm showing my age here, I guess, but like Intimate Portrait was this, like like how VH1 had Behind the
Mm-hmm.
Music, where they would do their episodes of like behind the music on a particular
Yes,
artist or
Nicole
whatever.
Scherzinger.
Intimate Portrait was the same.
Oh
thing,
yeah,
but
it was
done
hosted by
around
Meredith
mostly like
Vieira.
actresses. Yes, it was hosted by
Yes.
Vanessa Vieira, and so they covered everybody. They were covering the Vanessa Williams of the world, the Bette Midlers of the world, the Celine Dion's, all of that kind of stuff. And so like, Intimate Portrait was like, and I mean these were like original pieces of content, right? So like Lifetime had like the star power. So when it I always think in a 2020 context of like, how the hell did Lifetime at the time get all these amazing people to sign on board for a Lifetime movie? But I have to sort of readjust my expectations and think back contextually around what Lifetime was giving at the time, which was like you know, A-list divadom. So it makes sense that they did that.
Well,
For
I think
Jackie's
too,
Back,
if you look at it, that at that time Robert Townsend was hot. Like Five Heartbeats, I think, had come
Yes.
out like earlier in the 90s, right? I
Yes.
think
Jackie's Back is actually between Baps and the Disney Channel original movie Up in the Woods. So Jackie's Back is right between both of those.
And
I loved that.
when did Parenthood come out? Was it before
the TV show? It had already
Oh,
finished
Parenthood.
airing by '99.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they'd
I
already
think
wrapped for
with
that
Robert
show by
Townsend, I
99.
mean, at that time he was like on fire. So of course, with Five Heartbeats and everything else that came out, a lot of people probably were already interested too in working with Robert Townsend. So I think that might have been a draw for people to come in and do it as well.
It may have,
Yeah.
but I feel like Robert Townsend, because even when I think about it, because it's one of those things that for years I kind of forgotten that he had directed Jackie's Back, and then when it hit, like when I was reminded maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, wow, that's amazing, because Robert Townsend is one of those Black director, producer, creatives that I feel like have not been given within like 10% of what they are deserved for the work that they've put out, right? He's in this special box. I put Robert Townsend there. I put Keenen Ivory Wayans there. I put Mario Van Peebles there. Like, they're just this class of Black kind of auteur creatives that were doing dope shit but didn't really get it in their time, and they haven't been gotten to yet in the lineage of Black filmmakers. Like, we'll mention Spike Lee, and then we'll kind of jump to however you feel about Tyler Perry, but there's this breadth within it, where there are women in there too. If we go back to Julie Dash and
Come on,
Daughters
Julie.
of the Dust, like there's just so many other people that just get kind of ignored in that spectrum. And I feel like Robert Townsend has been one of those people, but he has consistently produced Black as fuck imagery for over 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what makes this an interesting project to me, because like, let's be real, there's a lot of white people in this movie. And it is not like can you imagine Robert Townsend directing Dolly Parton? Like, that is an interesting image in my
Yes.
brain, right? Like,
Or Liza Minnelli. I don't know
so-
nothing about no
or
Africans.
Liza Minnelli, like it's fascinating to me, because like it is a weird sort of mix of folks who worked on the film. Like, you got Jenifer and then you got Robert, but then you have all of these other folks who I think aren't part of that universe that we oftentimes attribute Robert and Jenifer to, which is like Black
Yes.
Hollywood. And so what I think is the connector is like Jenifer, because Jenifer comes from Jenifer is Black as fuck, right? But like, Jenifer also came out of Broadway, and she came out of like, that part of the world, which is sort of where the Mark Shyman sort of connection comes in. And so Jackie's Back is this weird, like, beautiful unifying of like her Blackness, but also like this sort of world into what is and still is very white theater, Broadway, like kind of whatever. And so, yeah, it's fascinating for me to think that like Robert Townsend was sitting in front of Liza Minnelli, like, giving her notes. I love that idea in my brain, like, and that should happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, that should be the case.
Actually, there's this really fun thing, because I have so many references to Jackie's Back or just conversation around the production of it, just because it really, really, truly is a favorite of mine. But a lot of those non-Black cameos that are in the film were, shot very quickly, of course, and they were all really just favors, because it wasn't necessarily in the budget, so they edited the budget so that the film world of it can just be whomever responds to, you know, kind of the call for artists.
Yeah.
And so, because even with the conversation that Liza has throughout her confessional, when she talks about, you know, I don't know nothing about the African, or she talks about Jackie coming to her house for Christmas and getting drunk, and, you know, she wouldn't stop singing. That's a real story of Jenifer Lewis's ass at Whoopi Goldberg's house for Christmas, and Liza and Jennifer were Whoopi's guests. They've talked about it on The View when Jennifer was promoting her memoir the first time. Jennifer mentioned it on several interviews, but that story really did happen. Jennifer got drunk as at Whoopi Goldberg's house for Christmas and wouldn't stop singing because she was in the presence of two women that she was inspired by. Here was Judy Garland's daughter in front of her singing a song at the piano. So what did she have to do? Sing 8 songs after she sang one song. Like, she just couldn't. She couldn't help herself. And she tells this story, and I love it because it feels so authentically Jennifer, but it feels so authentically Jackie Washington at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love it.
I think though,
going a little bit further.
I'm sorry, I want to interrupt you, but I think though with Whoopi,
Michael,
wasn't she shooting? What is the movie with Angelina Jolie? Wasn't she shooting Angelina Jolie's Winona Ryder mental hospital? Girl Interrupted. And that's why she was in the nursing uniform, right? Because she was.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. What?
Because I remember her talking about that. Like, she said that she had a lunch break or something from shooting Girl Interrupted, and she had to hurry up and shoot the cameo. She didn't even have enough time to change out her clothes. And she did it, and she went back to doing Girl Interrupted, like as a favor to Jenifer Lewis.
A lot of those cameos were freestyles. So when you see people have those stories, or like, because okay, so I have a top 3 when it comes to those.
3? I want to know.
So there's Whoopi definitely, just because I love how she doesn't let Jackie breathe at all. Her foot was on Jackie's neck the whole time. I also love Loretta Devine as her childhood friend. That's also a favorite. Because when she starts spilling tea about Peaches Yancey, messy. Loved it. And to round out my top 3, sometimes I say Diahann Carroll because her little segment, she was like, "Oh, that's what Jackie said? Well, I will have my lawyers speak to her very soon." Like, I love that like aspect of it because I would never see a Diahann Carroll do that. Like, I just love the, you know, golden age of Hollywood, especially considering someone that's an icon in Black Hollywood,
regal,
but has transgressed into it's so regal. And you hear her talking about how she's gonna sue Jackie Washington if she doesn't stop slandering her name. Oh my God, ate it up.
They all stole from me.
They all stole from me. Aretha, Whitney, Little Brandy, Streisand, Diahann Carroll. Oh, and B. Arthur.
All of them. But no, to round up my top 3, so there's Whoopi's character, or there's Whoopi's moment, there's Liza Minnelli, and then randomly, Mary Wilson of the Supremes.
That was going to be on my list.
Okay. Tell me, both of you guys, tell me your list. Michael, you first.
I stay in Kyla Pratt because that is so.
Yes, little Jackie.
I just stay in Kyla, yield. You know, breakout star just gets me every single time. Oh my God. Oh, now I have to think. Number 2, I would probably say number 2. Probably Bette Midler. I think Bette Midler has always been a fan of the gays. And she's just hilariously funny. And I'll probably say Don Cornelius, maybe just because he has still a special place in my heart for Soul Train and everything that was Black at that point in my life. So I know probably not the best punchlines with Don Cornelius, but I think probably just for nostalgia's sake, I will say, either him or Dolomite. Like, if I can pick a 4th, then it'd probably be Rudy Ray Moore with Dolomite, just because as well, Dolomite nostalgia.
Dolomite himself. Okay, Josh, who are your top 3?
They've already been spoken. I feel some kind of way now.
Or at least tell
So
us maybe if you have a
it's
different thing about them that makes them your favorite. Maybe.
I mean, I think like well, some of them I think it's just important to underscore. Like I think Whoopi steals the show for
We
me
love an
like
EGOT.
over and over and over and over and over again. Yes, we love an EGOT. And questionable things she said in recent years, but we're gonna forgive it because she's an EGOT and she's wonderful and
We'll
iconic.
just forgive her
So I
because
love
she's
Whoopi.
older.
I don't know. Part of me doesn't want to do that.
Okay, fair.
And I do love I love Mary Wilson's appearance just because like I secretly stan the Supremes after
Stone
Diana.
Love. Oh my God, I was on
So
Stone Love.
Mary
Okay,
Wilson.
let me stop interrupting you.
We're gonna have so we may
Like,
have to
if
do a
you
sequel
put Floyd
already.
Joy
Wait.
on, I'm gonna have a moment.
Okay, so we're gonna have a sequel to this completely because I've been needing someone to talk about Savage Supremes with all 5 lineups. Don't start with me right now because we will.
Okay, there's a dissertation to be written about how the Supremes were actually 5 million times better.
Yes! Oh my gosh! I feel like you're singing the songs of my heart. I said all of this,
but the world's not ready
up
to
the
hear
ladder
that.
to
they're
the
not ready to
roof.
hear
Come
this.
on.
But think about it.
Well, most of them haven't heard
Okay.
post Diana Supremes anyway, or they didn't realize that she was gone.
Exactly, and that's Motown's fault. Motown has done a terrible job of that. Motown has done their best to make sure that no one knows about the Supremes after Diana left. So, yes, a lot of conversation there. I have Mary Wilson's most recent book, Supreme Glamour. It's over 340 illustrations of some of their most iconic looks, and she gave a lot of respect to the Supremes beginning, middle, and end. So there are a lot of images that are in high quality that I'd never seen.
Because Mary stayed with a check. Okay? Mary stayed with a check. She was not going to say anything bad about Diane.
Okay. Layers, levels, textures.
I don't consider those I don't really consider those to be like scandalous kind of sorts of things.
But can we be real though? Because the fact that she refuses to call her Diana and still calls
that's
her
what
Diane
her mama named her was Diane.
Like, so like Mary knows what's up.
Exactly.
Oh gosh. But so okay, let me round out my third. Sorry, before I forget. Right. But sorry, my third one though, for real, before I forget, is Tim Curry. I think Tim Curry gets a lot of needs to get a lot of love in this movie. I love Tim Curry first and foremost because Tim Curry was a big part of my childhood because I was like very into Clue and I was very into Rocky Horror Picture Show. And so I loved Tim Curry period in this, but also I just love the way he wraps himself around words and even how he says Kenlock. It just makes me like laugh, right? Like he just like Kenlock. I'm just like it's just he's hilarious to me, and I think this was it was really an unexpected sort of turn to see him and Jenifer go back and forth in this kind of movie together that I think I don't know doesn't get enough talk when it comes to his career.
Good point.
And sort of his filmography. I think people focus on some of the, more notable ones, but this is a really good showing for him, I think, too. So I think Tim Curry had sort of hit like a, I don't want to say it was a career sort of slump, but like I think he had, he had rode the 70s and 80s really strong. And then even in the 90s, because he was up in Home Alone too. And then I think by the late 90s, he was less visible. And so I think, like, I don't know, these kinds of opportunities to do this kind of work, I think might have been an easier sell for him than it would have been a decade before. So
it's fun.
I feel like maybe a decade ago, it was starting to happen. I remember when Halle did, was it a Spielberg? It was Zora Neale Hurston.
Their Eyes Were Watching God.
She did that for television.
Oh,
yeah, Their Eyes Were
Which
Watching
also
God.
features Jensen Atwood.
Oh
Yes, Jensen
yes.
Atwood, our favorite stealth queer. Love that.
I forgot about the Their Eyes Are Watching God. That was on like
It
ABC. That
was.
was a
They were doing,
spectacle.
Mhm.
because
Oprah
they
was
did
like,
that. They also did a remake to Rosemary's Baby, if you remember, on ABC for about a
with
Yeah.
Zoe
yes.
Saldana.
They were trying to figure out this TV space, and I feel like I don't know what happened. I don't know right now. I can't recall if this is pre or post writer strike 07, 08, because I know that shifted so much in the industry.
Mm.
Because when I think about it now, that's not something they're doing. You see stars on television and in limited series, but you don't see them in like television movies. So I guess maybe that's the, media evolution equivalent. But
That's true. I didn't realize that, but I think like now you see, yeah, like I mean, there are entire channels that are sort of like built around, movies for television. So like, but it's interesting that we've relegated a lot of celebrities to that part of the world when their career looks a particular kind of way. Whereas like in the early 2000s, like you could be an A-lister and be on TV and in movies on the big screen.
But that shifted.
Without
You
question.
you have to remember though, because even a lot of actors will tell you back then there was a difference between being a film star and doing TV work. So there was this whole big controversy that came out. I don't know if y'all remember it when Denzel Washington was like, I don't really want to do TV films because people get to see you every week. It's not really like this major draw versus like doing a film. It's like this whole event when they come to see you at the movies. And Angela Bassett talked about that a lot too. She had done a lot of TV, a lot of TV, a lot of TV guest roles, guest spots. And then finally, she got to do What's Love Got to Do with It, and kind of making that transition from doing TV and doing film. But a lot of times you were either relegated to doing TV or doing film, wherever you broke out at. So, and now, I mean, a lot of actors doing these for TV movies are, going straight to streaming. So you've got Netflix, Hulu, all of those are still considered to be limited series that we would see like on a TV network.
Yeah,
so.
That's all they call it. Limited series. We're going to give you one season, maybe a second one, depends on how it turns out, maybe. But they are producing these worlds that don't have an extension already attached to them. And as an audience, we now accept that. Like this week alone, I've seen Michaela Cole's new show, I May Destroy You, so many other shows, but just like the idea of 20 years ago, I guess the equivalent was a television film. But now, maybe Jackie's Back could have been a miniseries or a limited run series or a special project,
But even there's something interesting about the framing of that, right? So like when we say limited series, it gives it this sort of like elevated like sense of like value, right? So like a limited series is somehow like you can't put a limited series on HBO side by side with a Hallmark film, right? And so like or a Lifetime movie, to be quite honest. And so like Jackie's Back at the time was a Lifetime movie. The budget was not big, right? Like these limited series get like equivalent budgets that like big picture films do.
True.
Like they
This is
get,
true.
they get coins. So it's interesting even that like the idea of TV movies now sort of have evolved into limited series because I also appreciate the idea that you don't have to play around with something for only 2 hours. You can do it over the span of multiple episodes. Like, so in that vein, I would literally love to see Jackie's Back as like a series.
Yes. Could you imagine an updated Jackie's Back? Like, could you? It's literally been 21 years, so there's enough room to update it. Entendre could be a mother. Jackie could be. Who knows where Jackie would be right now? I feel like she'd be in Reno somewhere. Not quite Vegas, but she might be in Reno.
Still doing her nails.
Still looking for somebody to pay for the tacos. Like, I don't know.
That would be an interesting. I don't know. I feel like Jackie's Back deserves something else.
Yes.
That's what I'll say. I don't know what it is.
I'm a little bit weary about remakes and reboots and comebacks, though. Because
what about continuations?
I'm a little leery about continuations too. Let's add that to the list. I think some things are just better left untouched. And I think, especially seeing Jenifer Lewis on
After a certain period
Blackish
of time.
each week, um, in the kind of taking the grandmotherly role or whatever, I kind of like her on Blackish, but I don't really see a continuation of Jackie's Back. I'm no. Mm-mm.
I can see a diva that didn't quite make it into the digital age being absolutely floored by 2020. I see it personally. And I say I see it because I think about the gravitas of the drama, like the grandeur of just how bizarre everything was in the head of Jackie Washington. 2020 would be such a mind freak that it either would go absolutely right for the wrong reasons or it would be the crash and burn that is to be expected from a delusional
I need
icon.
to see the pilot.
There's no
I need to see a pilot
ground.
episode before I sign off.
That's fine. That's
Give me the
A-okay.
pilot
That's
and,
A-okay, 'cause
and
that's what
I'm gonna say something controversial.
listen.
I actually don't think it should be a like something about exploring Jackie Washington in a web series feels more shoestring budget, like close
Mhm.
to the film. That I don't want it. I don't want a high quality experience. I don't need like, even though I know you can manufacture it to look like similarly in terms of budget and stuff. I don't know. I think I'm more convinced now that maybe the a continuation or something else doesn't need to be like, it doesn't need to have a machine behind it,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
No, I can see
Like,
that,
there's
and especially
something
with like
organic about it.
with how digital it could be. Like I could literally just watch random one-off scenes of Jenifer Lewis instead of singing I don't want to hear nobody fucking with me in these streets, but just her sitting at the piano trying to figure out how to get on Instagram live, but she doesn't know she's live the whole time. I can see that. Like
Yes. So
the
literally, Jackie
nuances
Washington.
of the disconnect
Mm.
is, I think, the greatest part about the film. So I feel like trying to see Jackie Washington record a song live for a TikTok, I'm done. I'm sold. Her trying to sing "Love Goddess" for
Well, yeah,
TikTok, I can't.
Love
that
goddess.
is exactly what I
Look
see.
at
I
me.
see the same way that we've like sort of turned character like actors into like personalities. Like, y'all know Charlene,
Yes,
the
Miss Shirley.
like, yes, like minute and a half videos that give me like a lot of joy, but like I don't want to see a Charlene movie, no shade, but like, so like I think there's something interesting about even like, yeah, like Jackie Washington in bite-sized versions, like in on Instagram giving us like a parody account or
Yes.
something. Like that would satisfy my spirit in a way that maybe like a full-on sequel wouldn't
Could
necessarily.
you
Even though
imagine
I'll
it?
take whatever the hell I could get.
Could you no? That's actually perfect. A parody Jackie Washington account, but she doesn't know it's a parody account.
Is there?
Or think about it, a stan account that she doesn't realize is a stan account, and she's like promoting like it's herself. So it's like this big disconnect.
She's running her own
Yes,
Stan account.
exactly. You get it. That's exactly it. Yes. See, she thinks she's running her account, but it's really a stan account. But she sees nothing wrong with it because they're celebrating Jackie.
That is hilarious. I can see
Somebody call
Show
Mark
me the
China. I'm gonna
pilot.
FaceTime him right now. Can he join?
that.
Unconvinced.
Michael is unconvinced.
I'm not moved. Show me a pilot.
That's okay.
But I do think, but to Michael's point though, I do think I would love if there was less energy around creating something else and more energy around making Jackie's Back the like classic it needs to be, and the fact that you can't go and stream Jackie's Back right now anywhere, or you can't, to be quite honest, I mean, like, you can purchase it from certain places, but like so many people aren't purchasing DVDs these days.
YouTube, that's
Like
really it. I still go to YouTube to watch it.
Right. Exactly. So like that's it, right? And the fact that it hasn't been taken down is fascinating to me. But
I've even seen Jenifer promote
yeah.
the YouTube because I've seen her do interviews where people say, "Where can they see Jackie's Back?" and she's literally said on YouTube. Which
Yep.
there's something to be said about the accessibility and her as a creative being forthright with that, because she could have said buy the DVD, I need the royalties, or the royalties would be nice, but she said where it was accessible. But there's also something to be said about her being a Black woman that made this happen, and it's not anywhere else but where it's free.
Thank you for breaking down barriers, Jackie Washington. We appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm loving this conversation, but we're just going to take a moment to hear a quick few words from our sponsors, and we'll be back on the air right after this.
Hey guys, it's Kyere. I want to thank you for, first of all, listening to On the Air, and second of all, would just love to let you know that how I was actually able to get this idea from in my head to On the Air. So, let me tell you about this awesome platform that is known as Anchor. You may have used the platform before for other podcasts, or you might have been your first time now for my show. But let me just tell you, it's super awesome, super effective, and can get you from zero to published in literal minutes. Let me tell you how. All you have to do is download the Anchor app in the App Store of your choice, or go to the website. That's anchor.fm, Anchor. Once you get there, create your login by using either Google or your social media handles and just plug in the information. It's as simple as that. If you can fill out a quick form online, or if you can fill out that voting ballot when it's time to rock the vote this 2020 election, you can definitely take 10 seconds to start an awesome new podcast, to share ideas, bridge gaps, bridge and build communities. So, all you have to do again, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started to see, hey, this too can be for you. Peace.
Keep your eyes on the road. Don't stop chasing the sun, 'cause I'm tired of heavy before you.
Now, we talked about our top 3 fave cameos, and I will go last. But Josh, what is your favorite song, if you can pick one from the film?
Oh no, that's such a hard question. How dare you
Fine,
make
top
me
3.
choose?
Top two, because we're clearly bound to all pick similar songs because that did not work the first time. So top 2.
Well, I don't even. I know my answer. I'm not just bullshitting with you. I love the drama of "Look at Me." I think that I love.
I only say
the
it because
end where
I
she's, like,
know
dueling with her.
it's you that I adore. I only love you because loving you made me want me more. Look at me.
Say it.
Look at me. Look at me.
I mean, lyrics. Okay, and then like I always love the final sort of like imagery of her like kind of like dueling herself at, you know what I'm talking about, at the end where she's like there's like there's like these side profiles. Anyway, I just love the drama of the song. That's probably my favorite. Yeah, that's what it is today. It might change after the screening though, because every time I watch Jackie's Back, I like something else, or I like something new, or I see something differently, or I hear something differently. So today we're gonna go with Look at Me.
Okay, Look at Me. Final answer. Boom. Mike, what about you?
It's Coco. I just feel like
Yes.
because it was written.
Don't call her
It was
between 2 and 3 because
produced,
she's in the
It
beauty
was
shop.
arranged.
Ow.
She played the harmonica. I mean, there's so much to be said about a queen that does it all. I mean, just when you get to the credits, in everything on there is Jackie White. Like, it
You
makes it
craft
that
services,
much more
honestly.
like self-absorbed, but so self-assured. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just it harkens back to the musical nerd in myself where, you get the album liners and it's like all songs written, produced, arranged, composed, conceptualized, conceived by Prince, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
girl, we know you did all of this.
Yep.
Yes, with the visual. And I love the fact that she still like gives into the fashion of it for like Coco's So I think that would probably.
Oh, the icon. Oh yeah, the leopard with the purple and the brim hat. She
Yes.
loves
Oh
that.
yeah.
She loves that.
I have a
She
purple hat
loves
like that, but
that.
I have
She
no leopard in,
loves that.
Corona, so not going out.
See, I have the leopard,
Are
but
you?
no
Are you?
purple.
Y'all know who I just remembered? Y'all remember the late Isabel Sanford?
Mm-hmm. She played. Was she her teacher? No, she was no. Play mama.
She's her play
Play
mama.
mama.
She's a
Hey, play mama.
And she said white people smell
Wet
like
potato chips.
wet potato
And then Bet
chips.
said, "I don't smell like wet potato chips."
There's just something to be discovered every single time. It's jam packed with everything. Like, it's impossible not to find something that you like about this movie.
I will say for myself personally, though I love Look at Me, and though I was very close to saying Yield, Yield, Yield for the same Kyla Pratt reference because iconic Black child stars. But no, my personal favorite song is Love Goddess. Performing, baby, 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 can't you got to have just the backgrounds. If you even just stop and listen to the backgrounds. Yes. So, okay, so two things. I love the vocal reading that she gives for Love Goddess. I also really, really love the visual scans of the magazine covers with her, with like Warren Beatty, Eddie Murphy, like all of this, these real images of Jenifer Lewis at random events with these other celebrities. Fall down on your knees, lay your scepter at my shrine, squeeze the grape, drink the wine. Love Goddess.
That's it. Come on.
You want fried rice with that? That's my favorite.
Do we know why? I mean, you kind of alluded to this earlier. Like, is there a reason we don't have the soundtrack? I mean,
as far as I know, there's no reason. She's spoken about having the stems in the songs, but she wrote or co-wrote or was very close to the production of them. So I know it's not it wasn't produced by Lifetime. So I don't think so. Who knows what deal she signed and maybe why she doesn't talk about it. But I have not received within her memoir or interviews why the soundtrack has never been released. And she has never put out a studio album. So there's so much opportunity there that I don't know why they dropped the ball with that.
I would love it on the dance mix.
Even not
okay
over a house beat.
Okay,
can you imagine? But what's wild to me this year in particular is I know last year was the 20th year and that she did a thing in person, like a screening with Shangela and all that kind of jazz. But it's fascinating to me because even this year, I think we're the only people screening this film for Jackie Washington Day, and that's just fascinating to me. Why does it not have? It's got its sort of underground audience for sure, but I just don't understand why it hasn't been catapulted into the same sort of cult classic realm of all these other movies that are just, to be quite honest, far worse. I don't
No, say it. No, yeah. Because Jackie's Back is wonderful and it deserves all of this, but it doesn't receive it. There is something to be said about it.
The films that get the films that get cult classic status are oftentimes the ones that are so bad that they just they're so bad that people start to flip it and start to enjoy them. But Jackie's Back has always been in on the joke.
Yes.
Jackie's Back it's all intentional and on purpose, and so that's the thing I don't really get is I don't know, maybe it is because this country it's probably because it is a Black woman, but it's just fascinating to me that even with the proven audience that have that quote the film all the time and all this kind of stuff that I'm pretty sure sold out the in-person event that she had last year, that it still hasn't been recognized as something worth even showing again and again on television. Why is there not why is it not even being shown on Lifetime once a year? You know, you got it in the vault, show it. You know what I mean?
Completely.
So
it's something to be said about that, and I definitely think it's one of those things where, because at one point, when considering this exact same thing, I was thinking that, you know what, maybe because it skews more queer cult nostalgia, that there's something there. Because I can also say that we all have a diverse group of friends that if we do and all this other jazz, right? None of my straight friends can quote Jackie's Back. None of my straight close friends outside of their queer introductions to the film knew about it. So maybe there's something, within there that where, maybe Black, more heteronormative audiences maybe not resonate with it and or may not know enough about it to resonate with it. But I definitely think that there is some kind of undergirded thing, because if you're Black and queer and know about this film, there really isn't much middle ground. You either don't see it, which I've never met someone like that, or you absolutely love it. But I don't know about the variance with my straight friends.
Because like I say, for me, I knew nothing about this movie until
like
I got around the gaggle of the gays and they started quoting it for me. But even in promoting it, from what most of the messages and things like that I've gotten from people have been Black gay men or Black queer men. None of my straight friends have even inquired as far as knowing that Jenifer Lewis is a part of it. Is what is it, or wanting to see it. So yeah, now that you mention, I don't know. I don't know.
And I mean, I think I mentioned this to Michael the other day, on some kind of call or something. But I had somebody as a response to me publicizing the fact that we were doing this screening. Somebody was like, "That's not a Black queer film," and I was like, "Isn't it?"
Did the person identify as queer? I don't know if you know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so I think because when I think about everything that we're showing with the series, it definitely is the sort of first kind of outlier. It's just not like the rest, right? But the one unifying thing is the fact that it absolutely is upheld and is on the pedestal that it is because of Black queer folks. And so we are not, I don't want to give everybody the credit, but that is the reason why we're even talking about Jackie's Back, is because of Black queer folks.
I want to take the credit because we're owed the credit. We're owed that. It's 21 years. We've literally decided to spend at least an hour of our time today. We're 57 minutes into the conversation about something that happened so long. It's give us the credit. We did the hard work. We love it. We continue to do the hard work. Even right now, we're having a conversation on a podcast. You guys are going to have a screening tomorrow that has a talk back moment after it, so people can kind of reflect on their feelings about it. So
and to that as well,
spaces that we don't receive other places.
Yeah, I mean, but I also think that it speaks to the power that is Black queer folks, is that even still behind these divas, as we call them, the ones we love to stand, we know their names. I'm not giving anyone any free promo, but there tends to be Black queer culture that's behind the hair, the looks, the makeup, the culture, all of those kind of things. So I think it still speaks to the power of our community, how we uphold things, how we uplift things, and how we also keep things that are just for us, with little one-liners and things like that as well. And so I think with what we do as far as with screening the films of, centering Black queer films, but this right now is a moment that is joyous. It's really a moment collectively for the community really to come together and laugh and have a good freaking time. Cool,
Yep.
I agree,
and that's that.
Okay.
If we was playing Dreamgirls, they wasn't gonna say nothing about that, okay? And we can link that to Jenifer Lewis as well. So it's all love. It's all love. Whoever made that comment, if you're listening to us, but if it was Dreamgirls, y'all would have rolled with it.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I don't know if many people know, but Jenifer Lewis actually was the actress hired for the workshop for Dreamgirls. She was Effie White in the workshop.
Yes, she was. I do remember that from the audiobook.
As they were building the world of Dreamgirls, Jenifer Lewis was the voice and persona that they used to round out the character of Effie White for those that are not as familiar with maybe progressions in Broadway shows. Excuse me. But yeah, Jenifer Lewis was the workshop actress that they used to test the lines and the songs and the initial filler moments for Effie White. Unfortunately, she wasn't the actress brought on for Broadway, but I mean, hey, who could have ever done that but Jennifer Holliday?
Yeah, and if
They
you
got a
watch,
good Jennifer.
if you
They
watch,
did. She had two ends and she blew.
if you also watch the Netflix documentary about David Foster, On the Record, he tells a story about how Jennifer Holliday, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but how Jennifer Holliday actually came in, and before they could set up the whole recording session, she had already sang the song full out. And so when they were ready to record, she was like, I'm done. Like, y'all give me one time of singing this song. I was like, what?
Yeah, Jennifer.
When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
You know?
It was in her soul. It was. No one can ever deny that. It was in her soul. It's still in her soul. I've actually had the privilege of seeing her perform this in person before. A tear was still shed. I was not the only one that wept. She ate. And this was within the last 4 years from now. Because I've only been in New York for 4 years. And this was maybe 3.5 years ago. At the time, she was saying that how most of her engagements for income were a lot of corporate events and a lot of events that didn't have a lot of Black people in the audience. Because if you remember, this is around the time where this is like the Chrisette Michele Trump's coming into inauguration era when they were trying to figure out who was going to sing at, I guess, this inauguration ball that he never even went to that eventually ended Chrisette Michele's mainstream career. But apparently Jennifer Holliday was one of the other shortlist options for that performance. And Jennifer said, I would have done it. She literally verbatim said, Black people have never bought my records. I have no allegiance to Black audiences. And she meant that with the vigor of an icon.
Complicated conversation.
No, it can be a complicated conversation, but imagine being the artist where Black people never buy your records. They only want the one song. She couldn't eat off the one song that she didn't write. She gets no royalties from it. She literally sat there in front of me at a very beautiful coffee table in Harlem. We were at a lovely restaurant because she was shooting some promo images for her website at the time. And she was like, yeah, people have comments. I don't know how to use the internet, so I don't see them. But Black people had never bought her records. And this is from the horse's mouth. Like I was like, oh, okay. And so she was like, a booking's a booking. And that's literally where she kept it. She said that's literally where she kept it. She's everything else. She's literally said, I do not know. I don't know.
But I think what's interesting when you think about the career of a Jennifer Holliday is that while it is wholly accurate that Black folks have largely never really supported her holistically when it comes to her career, I would offer that white folks have pigeonholed her in a particular kind of way that isn't much better. And so I get that a booking is a booking for sure, but I think her relationship to the world is much more is really complicated, and I think a lot of it has to do with how the world was ready to receive someone that looked like Jennifer Holliday, that sounded like Jennifer Holliday,
that performed like Jennifer Holliday, because even her performance style,
she was never set up to be received the way that she should have been received. But that is more about society as a whole and less about her as a performer or her as a talented person. But we love the Jennifers, all of them.
Maybe not Jennifer Lawrence, but that's not what this conversation is about.
Let me reiterate: we love the Dream Girls adjacent Jennifer.
Yes, 2 N's, 1 N, 1 L, 1 B for Beyonce. We love them all. Going into what is for this conversation, because I definitely want to bring you both back for a 70s Supreme conversation because they are due so much, and I do consider myself the connoisseur of the obscure. So that's all my fodder. But for the conversation at hand, Jackie's back. 21 years. I've already kind of alluded to the fact that this would be an awesome Instagram live series of Jackie Washington not knowing that she's running, or Jackie Washington running her own stand account and not realizing that we all recognize that too. That's what I want. But if you two could have an update or not, what could you see for a Jackie Washington presentation in the world that we live in today?
I just want to see this pilot, because all of these ideas that you all are throwing out as far as the IG lives, updating the Jackie Washington, I just want to see the pilot for it, and maybe I can co-sign it. I'm just admittedly in love with nostalgia of things, so I just want to see Jackie's back. I just want to see it available for streaming, where we celebrate every year Jackie Washington Day in a big way. I don't want to see a continuation of this, though. I don't. And maybe if we can get the album, or even if Jenifer Lewis gave me a one-woman show, maybe that involved Jackie Washington at some part with doing stuff from that. Maybe to play the game, I'll say that. Maybe if she could give me a one-woman show that had Jackie Washington as a character.
Okay. So I know Josh said something earlier that made my synapse fire like berserk, right? So Mike, you just said something that is incredible. Imagine if her update is her doing the one-woman show that we never got to see in the film.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Because it leads up, we end on the stairs, but no one actually saw her do the show. What if she came back to do like a 20th anniversary of that show, but updated? Another one night only.
Y'all shoot the pilot, preferably in Kinlock, because she's huge.
Only in Kinlock.
In Kinlock.
She's huge. Rest in peace, Play Mama.
And then maybe I can co-sign.
That's actually an awesome idea.
I love that. I think I'm going to.
They all stole from me.
Can't because we recorded this.
I think that's my answer. My answer is definitely. I feel like there is a any continuation of Jackie Washington as a character should be just as like in on the joke as I never want to see a Jackie Washington being made fun of like some characters have turned into over time. Like, I don't know, there's something smart about Jackie's back and the Jackie Washington character. So I don't know, that is a hard like non-negotiable for me. But I do think there's something where either Jenifer, like if Jenifer, there's still time. If Jenifer, they rolling back phases. If she could just do it like a quarantined Jackie Washington quarantined moment, like I would.
Noah's Ark did it.
I would.
It popped up after 15 years.
So like, and I mean that like I don't even need a full production. I could just do like a 30-second clip of her checking in to let me know how she's doing in quarantine. Like, yeah.
That's what the Noah's Ark characters just did, which I thought was really interesting.
I mean, yeah.
But that was a production.
They had a budget. They had Glad checks.
I
okay.
mean, Jackie. I mean, imagine if Patrick Ian Polk just dropped a 22-minute clip with nothing else. We would have been upset.
I wouldn't have been.
Well, yeah.
Noah's Ark Stan is in my bio. I would not have been upset.
To be honest, I was very, very, very surprised that he gave us a whole hour.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was generous. I would have actually probably been okay with 20 with a regular episode.
Really?
Like, I would have been more than
really.
Yeah. I don't think we were.
Yes.
I think that was gracious. Like, we didn't need, especially given the circumstances and the constraints of how to make something in quarantine, the fact that we got an hour's worth of content off of Zoom calls.
I mean, yes, the fact that you had like Tyrone, old girl stylist, and Octavius Terry, like giving wardrobe and styling and doing all of this. Patrick had a budget. That contract was signed last year. Like,
I feel like, what's a pull from your wardrobe for another similar size queer? I don't know. I know that we're creative, so I don't doubt the chance that this was much cheaper to produce than it seemed. because for no reason will I want to assume that this was a bigger budget, because I feel like we would have got a better story. Maybe the story wasn't awesome. Love the show, but the story was not awesome to me personally.
But I think with
I-
this, I think it was.
We're listening. We're on the air.
I don't know. Y'all might not want to open that can. Michael is a super stan, okay?
I'm just gonna mute myself.
I feel like in the world that we got in Jump in the Broom, they would have been parents by now. But go ahead. I say go off team, go off cast, go off crew.
They did. I think they did what they like. That was perfect for the circumstances. Well, do I think that they would have given us the same sort of set of storylines in the way that they did that if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic? Probably not. I think it would have been a different, like, I mean, they did the absolute best above and beyond what I thought they were going to do with the hand that they were dealt. But I don't think we need that for Jackie's back. I don't think we need that. Jenifer Lewis can improv on Instagram for 10 minutes and I'd be in the floor. Like, I'd be good. We don't need all the structure.
Only reason I don't want that is because I know what that looks like, and I love that, but I want more because I feel like the biggest inspiration for like loving Jackie's Back is the fact that it's so wacky, right? But it's so wacky within the context of having a Whoopi as your younger sister, with having a Mary Wilson as your third grade teacher, with having a Loretta Devine as Snooki, who is, if anybody's a fan of Jenifer Lewis, we all know the Snooki character. So it's just one of those things where I feel like the kind of gravitas of everything that was happening impacted that. But just watching Jenifer Lewis in front of her Instagram being Jackie Washington, like, she literally wears the same coat and hat for some of her videos. So I feel like I don't want to be disappointed by something that I love because it's a character that's so close to her.
That's why we should just leave it alone.
That makes sense.
Hey, you might have ushered me to your side of the fence, Michael. You might have ushered me.
It happens. They eventually flip.
But I think we can all agree that step one is to absolutely just make sure it gets on somebody's like accessible platform.
Yes,
like that is the first step. And give us a soundtrack, and that could tie us over. I wish it was like the fanfare. Like I want to see people dressed up as Jackie Washington for Halloween and not be like a confusing moment for people.
Yes,
like I would just love for the culture to catch up with Jackie's Back.
Hopefully, that's a world that we will eventually see. I do hope that that's a world that we'll eventually see. I will take the credit that is deserved for the piece of space in this world that I'm carving for Jackie's Back. And I think you two both should definitely, with your big bootstraps on, say, hey, no, we're helping create this space in the future so that other people who may not be exposed to it or may not know it as in depth or just might not realize that they've been dumb and this is a masterpiece that deserves all their attention. Whatever the things may be. But I will say I am excited for the continued legacy of it because I will say last year felt like 20 years is always a touchstone, right? We can never deny that. And so her doing the event with Shangela and hell, even rewinding, her and Shangela met because Shangela was a stan of hers because of Jackie's Back. Shangela was a college student. Jenifer Lewis was doing a production. Shangela, or I'll just say DJ showed up and was like, I love Jackie's Back. I do Jackie Washington Day film festivals at college, and I would love to be your assistant. And that's literally how they met. She was doing Hello Dolly, I believe, either New York City or Seattle, but she was doing Hello Dolly. She met a fan backstage, eventually moved this fan into her home, and they became her assistant. And then this person went on a reality show called RuPaul's Drag Race, and then the rest is history. And so, it started. I don't believe we're halfway. I don't think we're at the halfway point of it. And I truly, truly, truly hope that Jenifer Lewis gets to receive the flowers. 1, for her career. 2, specifically for the mastery that is Jackie's Back while she's here on Earth, because she's such a vocal proponent for change. She's such a vocal proponent for voter rights and for activism and for doing the hard work. And so I would love to see her receive the beauty of her hard work in this project that she clearly also still loves a great deal.
Yes, it's nothing else for me to say.
Well, with that being said, we have been on the air. I am Kyere, this is Josh, and that is Michael. And it's been awesome. Thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate our time.
Don't look for me between 2 and 3 because I'm in the beauty shop.
Because where is she? Where is she? Yes! Because who is she? Coco! Ow! Coco! Ow! Coco!
Come on, notes. There it is.
That's my favorite. No. Actually, when she rips the duct tape, Coco, it's a trap. What? That's my favorite. That's not her. What?
It's a trap, Coco. What?
Don't get me started. But yeah, it's been fun. We've been on the air. I'm here. They're with me, and we're all together. Thank you guys. Where can people follow you? Where can people further experience you guys? You all have, there's a platform to watch shows at home with other people that are not in the same room. Tell the people.
So, you can find us at www.bgsah.com. That stands for Black Gay Stuck at Home. We do bi-weekly screenings and live chats, and people show up, and sometimes really important people show up, which is really cool too. And then you can find us on Instagram at _BGSAH. And then my personal one is at Josh Jinks, JOSHJENKS on all the things.
Boom. We love consistency. What about you, Michael?
You can find me on all the things at Michael X Ward. And yeah, bgsah.com
To the point.
at _BGSAH on Instagram. As I say, slide in the DMs. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see.
And Michael's an actor. Hire him.
Yes, book me. I'm in quarantine. I would love to do more work. They've been having to keep working out of his bedroom doing these plays and stuff.
I actually have ideas for actors that are not able to do productions at the moment, because I think about let's stretch our imagination, right? So there's TV film that we've kind of touched on evolving into streaming limited series, but the radio show, like the radio telecast, like radio story shows.
Oh my God. So,
I feel like that's a lost art.
So, actually, I'm missing Richard II from the Public Theater of New York right now to do your wonderful show.
Yes, Lupita's a part of that.
Lupita Nyong'o is narrating. You've got Andre Holland. You've got Felicia Rashad. You've got Stephen McKinley Henderson. I mean, so many fabulous people. It's a 4-part series. It started yesterday, but they're doing the radio show. They're actually doing it, and it's been other shows that the Public Theater in New York is doing, because they have historically done like Shakespeare in the Park with Danielle. Last name is escaping me. She was Tasty, Orange is the New Black. Danielle Brooks. Yes. So they've been reimagining Shakespeare with people of color, and it's just been amazing. Like, most of the cast is Black and brown folks doing Shakespeare, and Andre Holland is fine as hell, and just listening to him do Shakespeare, it just, yes, listen, people. That gives us something to think about too, being Black gay stuck at home. Let's put that on the whiteboard.
Don't sleep on it. Well, why gotta be white?
Y'all.
Okay, but for now, thank you guys again. I promise this is the last thing, because we're gonna wrap it up. Next week, we're going to have, actually, this week, not even next week, this is going to be a double entendre. So with this episode, there's going to be another episode following very soon featuring a longtime friend and artist that I have loved for many years. Pierre King is going to chat with us on the air, and he is going to let us hear the first single from his new project, Black Balloon.
I love Pierre.
I love Pierre too. Yes, come on for the things. So yeah, he's on. It's a double entendre this week. We're having dual episodes, duo, two of everything. 2020, why not? And so we're going to celebrate the anniversary of Jackie's Back, but we're also going to celebrate something that hasn't been released yet, and that's Black Balloon, which is Pierre's new EP. So I'm so excited to have him on.
Congrats, Pierre.
I'm so excited for everyone to hear his song Us, which is actually available immediately if anyone that can hear the sound of my voice pre-orders his project, Black Balloon, anywhere music is able to purchase. So yeah, super excited. It's a double entendre. Yes!
I don't know if she ain't. All I know is Jack's back. I don't know if she's sharp. I don't know if she's flat. All I know is Jack's back. I don't know if she's this. I don't know if she's that. All I know is Jack is back. She's been through the valley. She's been to the mountaintop. She's been written up and written on. Sometimes she's a hit, and heaven knows she's been a flop. But all I know is Jackie's free and clear. Jackie's riding high. Jackie's like an eagle. Go, girl, go, Jackie, fly. I don't know what she's for. I don't know what she's for. All I know is Jack's back. I don't know what she's against. I don't know what she's for. All I know is put me on the front row. Let me